Okay, so picture this. A single shop, sealed completely shut. It's at the center of a legal battle that started way back in 1985. Can you believe that? And what's wild is that a recent Supreme Court ruling on this one shop actually tells us a huge story about one of the world's biggest cities and its constant struggle with growth, with rules, and, well, with reality. So yeah, let's unseal this story.
Seriously, just think about this for a second. Imagine you own a business, right? It's your livelihood, and then one day, boom, it's sealed, shut down. And the crazy part? It's not because of something you did last week or even last year. It's because of a legal chain reaction that was started 40 years ago, long before you probably even owned the place. Now, this isn't just some hypothetical question. It's the very real situation we're diving into today.
All right, so our story really kicks off right here. We're looking at plot number 106, located in New Delhi's new Rajinder Nagar market. It's not a huge place, just over 74 square meters. But don't let the size fool you. This one little property has somehow become the absolute epicenter of a massive legal showdown. So you look at it, and the owner's request seems pretty simple, right? Hey, my shop was sealed by this court committee, and I just want it opened back up. He's arguing, look, this is a commercial property, always has been, and I just want to get back to work. But, and this is a big but, we're talking about Delhi, a mega city that is always under this incredible pressure to grow. And in a place like that, nothing, and I mean nothing, is ever that simple.
Yeah, because here's the thing. This story, it's not really about just one shop. Plot 106 is like the tip of a massive iceberg. It's a tiny little piece of this enormous, decades-long legal saga called the MC Mehta case. And this one case has been shaping and reshaping the city of Delhi for almost 40 years now.
Okay, so to really get what's going on, you have to understand this timeline. It all starts way back in 1985. Someone files a petition to clean up Delhi. We're talking pollution, illegal construction, all the problems that were already getting out of hand. Now, let's jump forward to 2006. The Supreme Court basically says the city can't handle this alone, and they create this super powerful monitoring committee to crack down on illegal buildings. After a bit of a pause, by 2017, this committee is back with a vengeance, sealing properties left and right. This creates a flood of appeals, so many that by 2022, they have to set up another committee, a judicial one, just to hear them all. And that whole long, winding path is how our little shop, Plot 106, ends up in front of the highest court in the country.
So who is this monitoring committee anyway? Well, think of them as the Supreme Court's boots on the ground, their enforcement squad. They were handed this one very powerful mission: find properties that were built illegally or being used for something they weren't supposed to be, and shut them down. See, in a city that's growing like crazy, the temptation to, bend the rules, add an extra floor, make a quick buck, it's huge. And for a lot of people who took that chance, this committee's arrival meant one thing: a big official seal slapped right on their front door.
All right, so this is where it gets interesting. We've got our two corners. In this corner, the owner of Plot 106, and in the other corner, the city, basically the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, or MCD, backed by that monitoring committee. And let me tell you, their versions of the story, well, they couldn't be further apart.
This is what's so fascinating. The whole thing really boils down to one simple but crucial question. What is this building? The owner is adamant. He's saying from day one, this was meant to be 100% commercial. I've got documents that call it a shop. But the city comes right back and says, whoa, hold on. The ground floor, sure, that was a shop. But the floors above it, those were approved for people to live in. So it wasn't a shop, it was a shop-com residence. A huge difference.
So both sides lay their cards on the table. The owner, he's got this paper trail, lease deeds, sales permissions, and they all use the word commercial. Looks pretty good for him, right? But then, the city plays its ace. And this is the moment the whole case turns. It's the owner's own building plan, a plan he himself submitted and got approved back in 2005. And what does it say, clear as day? It labels the upper floors as residential apartments. It even shows kitchens, bedrooms, bathrooms. He literally applied to build apartments.
Now, to really understand the next piece of the puzzle, we have to talk about a little something called floor area ratio, or FAR. It sounds technical, but it's not. The best way to think of it is like a construction budget for your piece of land. The city looks at your plot and says, okay, based on its size and where it is, this is the maximum total square footage you are legally allowed to build. Period. It's one of the main tools cities use to stop things from getting too crowded.
And this is where the hole gets even deeper for the owner of Plot 106. Look at these numbers. His approved plan from 2005, it allowed him to build about 162 square meters. But the building that's actually standing there today is over 217 square meters. You do the math, that's an extra 55 square meters he just
built. That's basically an entire small apartment that he added without any permission at all. So this wasn't just about using the space for the wrong thing. He'd also built way more space than he was ever allowed to.
So, with all of this on the table, the owner's own plans contradicting his claims, the clear violation of the building budget, the whole thing lands on the steps of the Supreme Court. The final showdown. So, what was the verdict?
And this quote from the final judgment just cuts right through all the noise. The owner's big argument was, hey, nobody ever made me sign a paper promising not to use the upper floors for business. And the court's response was, well, pretty blunt. They basically said just because you didn't promise not to do something doesn't magically give you permission to do it. Especially, and this is the kicker, when your own plan calls it a shop-cum-residential building. Game, set, match.
But here's what's really important. The court didn't just slam the door and walk away. They didn't just say no. While they refused to deseal the property right away, they actually laid out a super clear path for the owner to make things right. It's like a to-do list. Step 1, you got to tear down all the illegal bits that are just unfixable. Step 2, you need to pay the official conversion charges to legally change the upper floors from residential to commercial. And step 3, you have to pay a penalty for that extra area you built without permission. So there is a way out, but it's going to cost him.
Okay, so let's pull back one last time. Why did we just spend all this time talking about one single shop in Delhi? Because the story of Plot 106, it's really the story of Delhi itself, and honestly, of so many huge cities around the world, all crammed into one little building. It's a perfect snapshot of that constant, chaotic pressure of urbanization, where the desire to build and make money often runs way ahead of the plans and the rules.
I mean, look at what this one case teaches us. First, it shows that trying to bend the rules has a very real, very high price. Not just in money, but in years of legal headaches. It also hammers home why those boring city master plans are so critical. They're not just suggestions, they're the only thing preventing total chaos. And finally, it puts a spotlight on that constant tightrope walk every city has to do, balancing one person's right to do what they want with their property against the whole city's need for order, for roads, for parking, for functioning society. The message from the court is loud and clear. You can build and you can profit, but you can't do it by breaking the very rules that hold the city together.
And that, really, leaves us with this huge, lingering question. In a city that is literally bursting at the seams with people's dreams and ambitions, where every single square foot of land is gold, how do you strike that balance? How do you weigh the dreams of one person against the sustainable future needed for millions? This case gives us one answer, but for every growing city on this planet, it's a question they're going to have to answer again and again and again.